Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I want to be conscious of everyone's time today. First off, my name is Jeff Merkton. I'm a Partner Marketing Manager here with Sage, and I'd like to thank everyone very much for taking the time to attend today's webcast on Sage eCommerce and realizing the potential of integrated e-commerce. A few logistical items before we get started. A question we often get is this recorded? And yes, this is being recorded, and you will receive an email later today or tomorrow from On24, which is the platform that we're using, that will have a link to view that recording, so that'll be coming out automatically to everyone on the call today. You did join through your computer, so the lines are obviously muted. We will be saving some time for Q&A at the end, so if you do have questions throughout, you can put them into the Q&A panel and send those in to us, and we'll get to those in real time or answer them after if we have time. And with me today, I've got, as you can see on the screen there, Stephen Midgley, who's the Chief Operating Officer for XM Developments, the publisher for Sage eCommerce. And not listed there, who's going to speak for just a moment, is Daniel Scott, who's the Product Marketing Manager for Sage. And he's going to just give a short introduction on our connected services strategy that we're going through here with Sage, that Sage eCommerce is a very key component of. So with that, I'll turn it over to Daniel to get us started.
Great, thank you very much, Jeff. As Jeff mentions, my name is Daniel Scott. I'm part of the product marketing team here at Sage, predominantly focused on Sage 300. So thank you everybody for joining. Very excited to have my colleague, Mr. Stephen Midgley, on the call as well. He's going to tell you some very exciting news about Sage eCommerce and the opportunity that it brings to our Sage 300 customers. But I just wanted to spend a minute explaining and just reminding customers of where the cloud-connected strategy is coming from. And it really is, it's an effective way of us augmenting the established 300 solution with really a wide choice of additional value-add capabilities that can be included when your business requires them, either to take advantage of, say, new market opportunities or respond to emerging competitive pressures, perhaps from a new market entrant or overseas competitor. And these new capabilities, these cloud-connected services, as I say, are being added through the integration of cloud-based best-of-breed solutions such as Sage eCommerce. So Sage eCommerce is a reasonably recent entrant into the Sage 300 world. We was officially selling the product back in March, so just a few weeks ago. But that's not to say that the company that provides Sage eCommerce hasn't been selling into the Sage 300 base very successfully for a number of years. So I won't steal any of Stephen's thunder. I will hand over straight to him and he can tell you more. Stephen, over to you.
Well, thanks, Daniel, and thanks, Jeff, and thanks to everyone for taking time out of your busy day to learn more about Sage eCommerce and learn more about e-commerce in general. My name is Stephen Midgley. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for XM Developments, the publisher of Sage eCommerce. So today we're going to cover a few topics. We're going to talk about the market landscape and really set the stage for the impact that B2B e-commerce is having on your businesses and having on your customer base. We're going to talk about this digital disconnect, and that often happens when we have technology that is rapidly expanding, rapidly growing, and how do you deal with sort of this changing paradigm. And so we'll talk about this digital disconnect that many of you may be feeling, and certainly it's a common thread amongst many of our prospects and clients. We'll talk about integrated e-commerce, and really for this presentation, this session, the key takeaway really is about integration and how critical that is to your Sage-run business. Then we'll talk a little bit about Sage eCommerce and some of the features and benefits of the products and some of the customer success that our clients have had with Sage eCommerce and benefiting from integrated e-commerce. And hopefully at the end we'll have some time for questions, and Jeff will be able to connect us and we'll answer some questions. And certainly after the session's over, I'm free to available to speak to anyone about any further questions around Sage eCommerce. So first, let's sort of set the stage and talk about the market landscape and get a better sense of the impact that e-commerce is having on businesses in every vertical across every geography. So at a really high level, by 2020, Forrester expects the U.S. B2B e-commerce market to be worth $1 trillion, twice the size of the B2C e-commerce market. And that's interesting because when we think about e-commerce, we tend to think B2C, and that's really because we're all consumers of technology. We'll call it the Amazon effect, where we're used to going to purchase products and services online, and likely this past Christmas holiday season, you made online purchases because it was just easier to do that, and so you have a comfort level when it comes to technology. that comfort level is being transferred over to the B2B world. So the reality is while we think B2C when we think e-commerce, the reality is that B2B is what's really driving e-commerce growth in North America. But this is fueled by B2C considerations. So what are those considerations? First, we're seeing a dramatic channel shift from offline to online, and that is because of that consumerization of technology. People are more and more comfortable purchasing online than ever before. In fact, 56% of B2B buyers are now buying online. And so more than half of B2B purchasers are comfortable transacting online, and so they expect to be able to do that with you when they come to your site. 81% of businesses that offer an e-commerce solution report a higher average order value than offline transactions. And that's really because of things like related items. People who bought product X also bought product Y. And so with e-commerce, you can tailor the experience to the individual transaction, especially in a B2B environment where somebody has to log in. And so you can tailor pricing, you can tailor certain products, you can push products. Maybe you have extra inventory of certain products, you can push those products online. And so the online gives you a better vehicle to customize and tailor the online, the transactional experience. And so we're seeing an increase in average order value for online as opposed to offline. And that's really using some of those B2C considerations like related items, which we're all familiar with if we've ever purchased from Amazon. Over 75% of B2B purchases start with Google. Now, this is really interesting because when we think of search engine optimization or SEO, we tend to think B2C. We all use Google as a sort of launching pad into the internet. But the reality is B2B transactions often start with Google. And part of that is the average B2B buyer will have been to 12 sites before they get to your site. And so that means that they're highly engaged, they're highly informed, and they know what they want. And so with Google, what happens is, on your website, and we'll talk about this later in the session, around optimization, SEO or search engine optimization is a critical component of your e-commerce solution. And so the question is how do you rank organically? Certainly there's pay-per-click and that you can purchase high-level placement on Google pages, but how do you rank organically? Because from our data points, that's how a lot of B2B transactions are occurring. And finally, B2B buyers are not loyal to poor websites. And what we see is because we're consumers of technology, because we all use smart devices, we use apps, we're on the web, we have a semblance of what is good design and what is poor design. It's true, everyone thinks they're a marketer and everyone has a point of view on marketing. And so you need to ensure that your site is easy to use, it's easy to conduct business with or through, and the reality is B2B buyers will go elsewhere if they can't find what they're looking for. So these two numbers are interesting, and the question is, what do they represent? Well, what they represent is 64% growth in the United States in terms of B2B e-commerce. So from $692 billion in 2015 to $1.13 trillion in 2020. And so that is significant growth for the U.S. market and U.S. economy in terms of B2B e-commerce. The same story applies to Canada as well. These two numbers represent 45% growth in B2B e-commerce. So a significant number. So 64 and 45% growth in the two countries. I would argue that when we do hit 2020, that these numbers will be actually on the low end. I certainly see with the impact of e-commerce and the mass adoption and consumerization of technology that we'll see increasing growth as B2B customers become increasingly comfortable using technology as a means of conducting business. So finally, the state of the market in North America, and these two numbers are extremely important because they're going to lead into a discussion in a few minutes around this digital disconnect. And that is 93% of North Americans have internet access. 93% of North Americans are using the internet on a regular basis for varying reasons. And 98% of businesses in North America are categorized as small, medium enterprises. So for you on this call, you represent the vast majority of businesses in North America. So in two important numbers, because they show you the penetration of internet usage and the makeup of the business community in North America. So why am I showing this data to you? Why is it important to you? Simply put, it's because it's important to your customers and prospects, and it's relevant to your business. E-commerce is a disruptive technology. It's changing how businesses interact with their customers, partners, employees. It's changing how they interact internally. And certainly when we look at e-commerce, it's not just an outward-facing solution. It's also an inward-facing solution. And really, when we look at e-commerce, we really need to be thinking about the end-to-end digital experience. It's changing how you are interacting with your customers and partners because they want you to change. They are looking for e-commerce as a means of conducting business, and it's changing how you interact with your employees. You can streamline operating efficiencies, allowing your employees to work on other tasks within the business. So what we're seeing is this digital transformation. And the key word here is not digital. The key word here is transformation, because it is a mind shift. Whether your clients are ready or not, the businesses are undergoing a digital transformation, and they expect to be able to conduct business with you in an online manner through the online channel. The challenge for you is how do you provide that level of service? How do you provide what we'll call an omni-channel experience, that when they go online, it's the same information that they were going to go into a retail outlet or if they were going to talk to a sales rep. How do you provide that consistency across all channels? So really, this is it's a shift in how business is conducted. And really, e-commerce is an opportunity for you to scale your business effectively, to improve operational efficiencies, and for you to drive incremental revenue. And so what we're seeing is this new digital reality for your customers, fueled by the consumerization of technology. Your prospects and customers are expecting to be able to do what they do in a B2C world in the B2B marketplace. Those customers and prospects, they're more informed than ever before. They've all become UX experts, and so they have high expectations around usability, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. They know what they want before they engage. Because they're informed, they know what they want, they know what they're looking for, and they have a good sense of how to get it. And they're influenced by social. Social media is a huge component of your optimization and go-to-market strategy around digital. And so if the question for all of you on this webinar is, what kind of social media presence do you have? And my recommendation from social media is not to be all things to all people and to be on all platforms. Is to pick a platform that you know your target audience leverages and focus on doing the best possible job with that platform and then moving on to other platforms. So what's interesting is this sort of digital reality, this sort of new digital reality is leading to a digital disconnect. And if you remember these two numbers, the 93% internet penetration and 98% of the businesses are categorized as small, medium enterprise. If you had any concerns around the value of e-commerce, these two numbers really should change your thoughts. Because these two numbers are actually quite scary. This is the state of the SME, of the small medium enterprise e-commerce readiness, and this was from a PayPal survey done last year. And it's very indicative of where we stand when it comes to embracing new technology. Only 17% of small medium enterprises in North America have an e-commerce enabled website, 17%. And 71% have no plans to develop e-commerce capabilities. So that's a pretty significant disconnect when we look at 93% of North Americans use the internet and 98% of businesses are SMEs. What that tells us is that the vast majority of businesses are not prepared to don't have the ability to move forward with an e-commerce solution. So there's a pretty big disconnect. And what you need to be asking is what's your competition doing when it comes to digital and to e-commerce, and how do you stack up? So to further compound this disconnect is the rise of mobility. And mobility through smart devices like tablets and smartphones is really changing how people interact and consume information. 62% of North Americans have made an online purchase via a mobile device, and 48%, only 48%, have a mobile optimized web presence. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why this causes a disconnect. If we go back to earlier in the presentation where we talked about 75% of purchases start with Google. The reality is, in the world of Google, a mobile optimized web presence ranks higher in Google than a non-mobile optimized web presence. And the reason being is Google puts a lot of stock in websites that are mobile optimized, driven primarily by the presence and utilization of mobile devices. If you're not sure if your website is mobile optimized, the quick litmus test is to grab your smartphone or your tablet and check out your website to see if it scales to multiple devices and screen sizes. It is a critical component of your go-to-market digital strategy to ensure that you have a mobile optimized web presence. So the question for you on this call really is, are you digital ready? Now, most companies have a web presence. Some don't. Some rely on, smaller businesses may rely on their Facebook page as their web presence, or the social media platform. They may rely on a Yelp type platform. That has a lot of problems in terms of searchability and ranking. But the reality is most businesses have a web presence. Yet many businesses are sort of stuck in this sort of 1990s brochure where one-dimensional flat file model where there is no interaction with the people who come to the site. So you may have a web presence, but the really important question is, are you digital? Do you allow your customers to conduct business online with you? Do you have a responsive web design? Are you mobile ready? Are you able to use online and leverage e-commerce as a means of conducting business to improve operating efficiencies, to drive incremental revenue, and provide an experience to your customers? The reality is many businesses take this approach to emerging technologies, which is shown in the PayPal survey, where only 17% of North American companies surveyed have an e-commerce enabled site. They take this approach when it comes to not just e-commerce, but other technologies as well, often because they deem the technology to be too expensive. I've got to have servers on site. I've got to install everything. I need to have expertise on my team to be able to manage the servers, to be able to manage the technology. I'm worried that I can provide the same level of service online as I do offline? How do those areas connect? And really a common buzzword that I'm sure many of you heard is omni-channel, and that is really being able to provide the same level of service across multiple channels. And so while many of our clients are e-commerce first in terms of how they go to market, what you need to be able to provide is that end-to-end experience. So whether I go into a retail outlet, whether I phone, whether I talk to a sales rep, whether I go online, it's the same level of information and experience across all channels. And the only way that can be achieved is through integration. And really, e-commerce is more than just a shopping cart. And so the reality is because we use it, most of us on this call have used e-commerce in some shape or form. We view e-commerce as I go to a website, I select products X, Y, and Z, or Z for the Americans on the call, and I go through a checkout and I order those products. The reality is e-commerce is about experience. It's about this end-to-end digital experience that you provide to your customers, and that can only be achieved through integration. And in fact, that experience becomes more important than what you're actually selling. We go back to how People are fickle, and we go back to how people are driven by B2C considerations. The experience that you provide to your customers becomes more important than what you're selling. And we look at how B2B buyers are not loyal to poorly designed websites. The question that you should be thinking about, one of the things you should take away from this session is you should be looking at your competition. We've all got competitors, large and small, medium-sized competitors, is be looking at what are they doing when it comes to digital. How does their web presence stack up against your web presence? Are they offering an e-commerce solution? How does it compare to what you have today? Because I guarantee you, your clients are doing exactly that. They are shopping around and looking at other solutions in terms of services. And so you need to be able to provide a high-level experience from end to end, from the front office to the back office. So really, it's about the experience you provide when it comes to e-commerce. 85% of B2B buyers expect accurate and up-to-date information. So they expect that when they go to your website and to conduct transactions, that things like the price, the SKU information, the inventory on hand information, that's an accurate reflection of what you actually have in the back office. 80% believe consistency is critical to customer retention. 80% believe that consistency is really critical because consistency is about the experience. And so when I go online, I know I can make these transactions. I know that when I go back, it's accurate reflection of what is in stock. 65% of B2B buyers engage a sales rep after they've made a purchase decision. And that really goes back to this digital transformation, not just externally, but also internally. How does it work when you have a customer today who goes online and makes a transaction? Does that rep know that they've made a transaction online? Do they have that information at their fingertips that they can be able to understand their client's needs and be able to react to that? And that really speaks to this omni-channel experience. So one example of this experience is mobility. And the ubiquity of mobility is really today's reality. So 56% of B2B buyers are shifting offline to online. And a lot of that's being driven by mobility. So do you provide the ability for your customers to purchase from you online? And when we say mobility, we don't really necessarily mean an app. You don't need to have an app to do e-commerce. What you really need is a mobile responsive design. And so I can go to your website through an iPad or an iPhone and be able to conduct transactions. So really what it is responsive design is critical to your digital go-to-market strategy. And as I mentioned, mobility or responsive design websites help with SEO ranking. So one of the questions for all of you as you take away from the session is are you ready for mobility? Do you have that responsive site? Do you allow your customers to purchase via a mobile device? And do you allow your employees to access customer information via a mobile device? For those of you on this call who have sales reps that are on the road, are they able to access client information, transaction history through your e-commerce channel via a mobile device? Another key trend and challenge for businesses when it comes to technology and e-commerce is that buyers are increasingly demanding when it comes to the utilization of technology and increasingly fickle. I'm a big believer that I think because of technology, we all have adult onset ADHD where we just can't stay focused for very long. At home, we'll be watching a movie, but many of us will have an iPad in front of us, and maybe you're doing some research on the movie or reading some article. But the reality is that our attention spans are lots smaller than they used to be because of the technology and the onslaught of information, the deluge of information that we're dealing with. And because of that, that's impacting B2B. So 94% of B2B buyers want to know where and how to make an immediate purchase. So when they come to your website, maybe you have a B2B portal and they log in, straightforward. But if they have to go searching for that, if they have to go looking to how to make a purchase, chances are they're going to get impatient and they're going to go somewhere else. Because nearly half of B2B buyers will buy a competing product that was easiest to purchase online. And so, as I mentioned a couple of times, what's really critical here is do the competitive analysis. Look at what your competition is doing when it comes to digital. Look at what they're doing when it comes to e-commerce. And how do you stack up? How do you compare? Because when 50% of B2B buyers will go somewhere else, that's a pretty big risk to your business. And so you need to make sure that you are competitive on the digital front. So when we look at e-commerce, there's lots of examples of e-commerce solutions. Excuse me. But the most critical question really is, and the most important question, the first question you should be asking is, how does this integrate with my Sage platform? You are building your business on Sage. It is the backbone of your business. So whether you're looking at e-commerce or other solutions, the first question is how does this integrate with my Sage system? Every adjacent technology you look at should be integrating seamlessly with your Sage platform. Because really, as you expand and grow, your Sage platform or your ERP system becomes the single version of the truth. It's upon which you make your business decisions. So your finance person is looking at that data, your marketing person is, your salespeople are, and so you want people making decisions on the same data set. And so integration becomes extremely critical in how you scale your business. The ROI of integrated e-commerce is fairly straightforward, and this is some data from Aberdeen Group. Integrated e-commerce, according to Aberdeen Group, integrated e-commerce increases conversion rates by 20% and decreases cart abandonment by 8.3%. And it allows customers to increase revenue and business process. Allows you to increase your revenue streams and improve business processes. Because of integration, the information that your clients see online is a true reflection of what's actually shown in your Sage system. And think about all the logic and all the work that you've done to build that business logic into Sage. You want to have systems that accurately reflect that logic in the digital world. So when we look at e-commerce, it's not really about e-commerce. It's really about integrated e-commerce. According to a Forrester survey from last year, 85% of North American businesses surveyed believe back office is important to the customer experience. That they can show the data that's in the back office, in the front office, on the web, to provide the customer with accurate information to provide that seamless experience. 60% believe integration with the back office is a key initiative because they know integration will improve that level of customer experience and provide the customer with a better online experience. And 40% buyers want more integration because they know integration is what will help them ensure they have an accurate experience and a positive experience when conducting online business. At the end of the day, integration is all about the customer. It's all about the experience that they receive. Yet the reality is most businesses don't have an integrated solution, so they have non-integrated e-commerce solutions. And when we look at e-commerce, there's really a couple of components. There's the presentation layer and there's integration. The presentation layer is really the easy part. That's the look and feel. It's an important part of your e-commerce presence, of your web presence, because really, when we look at your website, it's a reflection of your business, it's a reflection of your brand, it's a reflection of your culture, it's a reflection of your overall business. And so being able to present to the world, to your customers, a reflection of your business is important. So the presentation layer is really important. However, integration is by far the most difficult and most challenging aspect of e-commerce. So presentation layer is important, but it's relatively easy. Integration is what is the difficult part of how you build an e-commerce solution, which sort of explains why 90% of B2B sites are not properly integrated. So maybe you have a connector that will drop some orders into some sort of holding bay where you can process them. But the reality is these are not properly integrated solutions, which will only cause your business challenges as they scale. And so what we see is inconsistencies between back office and web. So when we have a non-integrated e-commerce solution, what we see information that's in the back office in your Sage Enterprise Management to Sage 300 Cloud solution not being properly reflected onto the website. And so there's a disconnect from the B2B customer perspective. It becomes highly time-consuming to maintain product catalog and pricing information on the website. Because pricing updates in your Sage system aren't automatically ported onto your e-commerce platform, you have to have someone in your team go in and update the product information, update pricing information. And that becomes extremely time-consuming. And you just know, no matter how diligent your team is, there will be mistakes. And on the other side, going back into the business, there's data entry and import errors. And so you have all these orders coming off your website. Maybe they're coming in as an email, and but someone has to go enter all those orders into your Sage system. And when there's a human element, there's always going to be import errors. So the bottom line is, if you have to rekey orders, you really don't have an e-commerce solution. So you may think you have an e-commerce system, but it's not integrated. And so that means that you have these inconsistencies between your Sage system and your e-commerce platform. It means you have to manually update product information like pricing, SKU information, product names onto your e-commerce platform. And it means that you have a team having to rekey orders into your Sage system. If you're doing any of those things today, you don't have an e-commerce solution. So how should you approach integrated e-commerce? What are the things you should be looking at when it comes to e-commerce? So when we look at e-commerce, we look at really three aspects of a digital go-to-market plan: build, manage, and optimize. In the build phase, it's really about how do you extend your brand to the digital world. How do you extend that brand and take that brand and apply it to the digital world in a seamless way? And this conversation really needs to start with back-end integration. As I'd mentioned earlier, the first and most important question you should be asking is, how does this solution integrate with my existing Sage platform? If you get a response like it doesn't, or let's focus on the front end and the look and feel, and then we can tackle integration further down the path, my recommendation is basically to exit stage left and run quickly, because I guarantee what will happen is you'll build this good-looking website, but what you'll find is that is not going to integrate into your Sage system. And so you have this great-looking presentation layer that does not integrate with your Sage system. And so you have a significant disconnect, which is going to lead to a poor user experience. So you need to be able to adapt the visual elements of your brand online. You need a platform that will easily scale visually, will allow you to embrace mobility, so having a responsive design. And the reality is every business is unique. So you need to ensure that your e-commerce solution will scale to your business requirements, to your unique shipping requirements, to your tax requirements. And certainly when looking at e-commerce, two of the most challenging or most common aspects of e-commerce implementation in terms of difficulty are shipping and taxation. In particular in the United States as opposed to Canada, because of the various tax laws shipping across state boundaries and also just shipping considerations. Questions you should be looking at in terms of features: do you offer multi-language? So for those on the call who conduct business in Quebec, you need to have a multi-language site that offers the ability to conduct e-commerce in both French and English, or maybe you need to conduct business in Spanish. Things like product finders, making it flexible for you to for your clients to quickly find the products they're looking for. Or maybe you have split shipping considerations. Maybe you ship to a single address from multiple warehouses, or you ship from a single warehouse to multiple addresses. Those types of questions need to be considered when looking at your e-commerce solution. When you're looking at the build, also you need to look at the Sage implementation components. So when you upgrade to a new version of Sage 300 Cloud or Sage Enterprise Management, how easy is it to upgrade your e-commerce solution? You also need to consider around on-prem versus cloud in terms of cost and manageability. The next step in your digital go-to-market plan is really being able to manage the digital experience. And that is, how will you manage the e-commerce platform? So it's one thing to build an e-commerce platform and to get that market ready, but then how are you going to be able to manage it? How are you going to be able to manage this solution on an ongoing basis? So key questions you should be asking and be able to answer is, can you segment or personalize your customer's journey? Can you offer tailored pricing or tiered pricing? Can you offer unique products based on individual customers, or offer unique products at the customer level? Are you able to offer up related items to increase average order value? What about accessibility? Can your reps place orders on behalf of their customers? Do they have the visibility into their customer's account status? So if you've got reps who have certain territory, can they log into the e-commerce platform to see how the rep, to understand what the clients have ordered, their transaction history, volume, do they have any outstanding invoices, and get a sense of how the clients are doing? Shipping, payment, and tax options, as I talked about. Are you shipping internationally across provincial or state lines? Those are considerations that you need to be able to address. And then, what tools do you have to manage your digital experience? Are they WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get tools, or do you need to have developers on hand to be able to manage your digital experience? For many of you, and for our clients, what's critical is having WYSIWYG tools. Most of our clients don't have large development teams. They don't have a depth of knowledge when it comes to digital, and so they need a platform that's easy to use and easy to manage. And the third stage in your sort of digital go-to-market is optimization. So you can build, you have to build your site. Integration is critical to that build. You need to have a platform that's easy for you to manage, easy for you to operate, that isn't a burden for your team. But then the third element of that is, how do you optimize the site to continue to drive revenue? I always look at websites and e-commerce platforms sort of like a box. You can have all this great content and experience in the box, but if you're unable to open up that box, nobody knows. And so what you need to be able to do is ensure that your e-commerce platform has the tools that you can use to drive awareness, drive revenue for your platform. So it's one thing to build an e-commerce solution. It's another thing to optimize. And optimization is not a one-step thing. Certainly, you should be optimizing for day one, but you need to optimize on an ongoing basis. Search engine optimization is critical. If we go back to the beginning of the presentation, we talked about 75% of B2B buyers start with Google. So for you, SEO becomes critical. Are you able to manage the meta tags, H1 title, page titles? Are you able to optimize pages for search engine rankings? Does your e-commerce platform provide you those tools? Is it integrated with social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? Are the tools that you can use to connect and promote your solutions out to the larger market, and are they integrated with your e-commerce platform? Another classic example of promotion and connection is a blog. Can you integrate with blog platforms like WordPress? from an SEO perspective, two things that drive natural search. One is the utilization of video, and the second is fresh content. Blogging is an effective way to drive natural search rankings because it's fresh, relevant content. It also helps feed your demand generation programs and also helps feed your social media programs. So blogging, I highly recommend that you look at blogging as a way to improve ranking, but also as a means to drive your social media engines. Although if you are going to take on blogging, you need to make sure you have an editorial plan. Nothing looks bad than coming across a company blog and the last post was 6 months ago. Does your platform allow you to implement lead conversion tactics? So a key web metric is the visit to lead conversion. So looking at the number of visitors that come to your website and converting those visits into leads or into transactions. Do you have those analytics built in, such as Google Analytics, built into your platform so you can understand how people are using your e-commerce platform, where they're going to? Often with websites, it's Pareto's 80-20 rule. 80% of the traffic goes to 20% of the pages. So do you understand what those top 20% pages are, and be able to better optimize those pages to increase revenue, increase lead conversion? So let's take a moment and look at Sage eCommerce. So we're the only Sage certified solution, and from a Sage perspective, the key driver for Sage working with XM Developments and then formulating this partnership was really that a lot of Sage customers are looking at e-commerce as a means to optimize and streamline their processes and drive incremental revenue. And so a lot of Sage customers are looking at e-commerce as a way to expand their market share, drive incremental revenue. But the critical aspect was the level of integration. It's no good having an e-commerce solution that doesn't integrate with the Sage 300 Cloud or Enterprise Management. And so a key consideration was that level of integration between Sage eCommerce and Sage. So Sage eCommerce or XM Developments, we have over 200 customers. We conduct over $500 million in annual transaction volume on the platform and operate in over 10 countries with over 1 million SKUs. We have clients as small as several hundred transactions a month to clients that do 250,000 transactions a month. Sage eCommerce is a SaaS solution, so there's no on-prem requirements, there's no server requirements, there's no dev requirements. It is a SaaS solution hosted in Amazon Web Services. And actually, we will be moving to Google Cloud shortly for a number of reasons. One, Google Cloud offers far more digital marketing capabilities for our clients and our platform. So as a SaaS solution, what that means is there's no upfront cost in terms of capital expense, in terms of having to procure servers and having to update and manage servers. Sage eCommerce is the world's only Sage certified e-commerce solution that's fully integrated with Sage. And in essence, what we do is we enable you to seamlessly extend your Sage platform to the digital world. So all that business logic that you're defining and building in your Sage 300 Cloud or Sage Enterprise Management platform, all that logic is directly ported into the Sage eCommerce platform. So when you update a price in Sage, it's automatically updated in Sage eCommerce. When an order is put through Sage eCommerce, it automatically flows into your Sage platform. That seamless integration is what will deliver you that end-to-end e-commerce experience that your B2B customers are looking for. We look at e-commerce in three ways. We look at it as being insightful, intuitive, and integrated. Insightful, providing you with the analytic capabilities to make decisions based on how your e-commerce channel is performing in terms of user behavior, how people navigate, how people are using it to better optimize your e-commerce experience. Intuitive, we provide WYSIWYG tools to allow you to easily manage the Sage eCommerce platform. Sage eCommerce was designed really for front office staff, not for developers. So you don't require development resources to be able to effectively manage Sage eCommerce. And integrated, which is really the key part of Sage eCommerce and how it works with Sage. As I mentioned, Sage certified. It was a vigorous process that we went through to get that certification, and really the certification was a result of three elements. One, proven integration and security, commitment to future releases. So we have access to the Sage roadmap, they have access to us, and so we can make sure that we're aligned in terms of what we're delivering to our mutual clients. And most importantly, the software does as is expected. And on that integrated e-commerce, this is really the key benefit that our customers derive from using Sage eCommerce. Is this tight integration with Sage. Really, I would look at Sage eCommerce as the e-commerce engine for Sage, delivering our clients real-time order, pricing, and payment integration. It duplicates the Sage Enterprise Manager and Sage 300 Cloud Business Logic. The key takeaway from this session is really integration. That the work that you're building into your, putting into your Sage platform, that is replicated into the Sage eCommerce world. More than 65 database tables in Enterprise Manager and 300 Cloud are replicated. What that means is you can streamline the workflow automation between the front office, your e-commerce platform, and the back office, your Sage platform. Because it's SaaS, it's highly scalable. When you upgrade to a new version of Sage, it's about a 25-30 minute upgrade for Sage eCommerce. So it's highly scalable. It scales with your business as you grow. It's cost effective to maintain, providing you with very quick ROI in terms of payback on the solution. And importantly, from a day-to-day perspective, it's easy to manage, and it has the optimization tools that we talked about. So integration with social media, integration with WordPress from a blogging perspective to allow you to properly optimize your e-commerce platform. So we'll take a quick look at some of the product features and capabilities of Sage eCommerce. So Sage eCommerce is predominantly a B2B e-commerce solution. Provides you with a unique shopping cart and pricing experience for your customers. So you can get down to the individual customer. It can be personalized at the customer level, providing your customers with specific pricing logic, ability to do on-account account portal, be able to do product attribute filtering, so be able to quickly search products by various criteria. And we've got built-in reporting and analytics integration using Google Analytics. Sage eCommerce is also a B2C e-commerce solution. So same product, same platform, B2B and B2C. So very much the similar capabilities that we have with B2B, such as SEO-centric design, integration to Google Analytics, also supports third-party analytics services, and social media integration. As well, there's numerous cross-sell capabilities, so building into the product, for example, related items, so people who bought product X also bought product Z. Quick order entry, so being able to streamline the order processing, and this is a really critical part. We go back to earlier in the session, we talked about the experience and the ability for customers want to be able to transact easily and quickly. So you likely have clients that conduct regular transactions. Maybe every Tuesday morning they order the same products. Quick order entry allows those clients to really, it's a fast add to cart process where they can go in and save cart, where they can go in and order the same items every week. It also allows them to quickly find the product they're looking for by keying in partial items or descriptions, as opposed to having to navigate the online product catalog. Speaking of product catalog, most of our clients have got away with physical catalogs, and the web presence, Sage eCommerce presence, is really the product catalog that they use. The real attribute is that it's integrated with Sage, and so pricing, SKU information, product naming is all derived directly from Sage. So when you make a change in your Sage platform, that's directly reflected on Sage eCommerce. Mobile Sales Portal is critical for a lot of our clients who have sales reps on the go. What that means is sales reps are able to place orders on behalf of their clients. They can create order templates for clients. They have real-time access to customer information, account status, account details, and they can be notified of customer order confirmations. And so they basically are able to have anywhere, anytime access for them with dealing with their clients. So let's look at some of the customer success with Sage eCommerce. What are some of the issues that Sage eCommerce addresses for our clients? One, it takes the risk out of web to ERP integration. Integration is very difficult, it's very challenging, very consuming, and very expensive. Because we have built-in integration that's out of the box, it takes that risk that many businesses feel when they're trying to integrate web-based solutions with their ERP system. It's a cost-effective and fast to deploy. It helps you streamline, because of integration, helps you streamline this end-to-end business processes from front office to back office. There's a significant reduction in data entry costs. People who are spending time rekeying can be redeployed to elsewhere in the business, and it helps you drive incremental revenue growth. For our customers, there are really three consistent benefits across our entire client base when it comes to integrated e-commerce. The first is they're able to drive incremental revenue because they can tailor transactions to the individual B2B buyer. They can include things like related items. They can increase average order value by pushing certain stock. The second one is they're able to improve the customer experience by having accurate pricing. So they're able, through integrated e-commerce, be able to have an end-to-end digital experience, accurate pricing, accurate inventory on hand, and be able to provide a higher level of customer experience to their clients. And three, they're able to improve operational efficiencies and are able to redeploy staff to other mission-critical initiatives within their business. We have one client that we're just about to launch. They're a leading online retailer of health and beauty products. The annual turnover is $675 million. They have 142 B2C web stores, of which 55 are international. They had an in-house B2C e-commerce platform, and they were looking at expanding to B2B, and they required a highly functional B2B platform. They felt that the cost of doing it themselves was too prohibitive, and so they were looking. They were a Sage Enterprise Management customer. They were looking at an e-commerce solution that was fully integrated with their existing Sage solution, looking at an e-commerce platform that would easily scale to keep pace with their growth targets. And they needed a system that was easier, quicker, cheaper than upgrading their in-house B2C platform. So for those reasons, they selected Sage eCommerce because it ticked all the boxes in terms of integration. Because this client knew that integration was really the path forward in terms of providing a high level of customer experience for their customers when it came to conducting online business. When we look at integrated and non-integrated, a couple of examples of our clients who benefit from integrated in terms of real measurable costs. We have a client up in northern Canada, and for those who are maybe not familiar with the geography, northern Canada is extremely cold and very desolate. This client, where they're located, you only get in by seaplane in the summer and by snowplane in the winter. And so what they had is they had a non-integrated solution, and they would rekey orders, send them down by plane to the client. The client would get them and realize this is not what I ordered, and send them back up on plane. Poor customer experience, very expensive return methodology. And so through using Sage eCommerce with their Sage system, they were able to save $110,000 in the first year on an investment of $31,000 for Sage eCommerce. And that savings was 99% because they were able to have accurate rekeying of orders. Because they would eliminate rekeying, the order accuracy was at 100%. And if there was a mistake, it wasn't their fault; it was the client's fault. So they were able to have significant savings by having accuracy and having integration. One of our other clients They sell covers that go on cars to keep it protected from weather elements and from dust. So they were able to save $52 per order on the 1,200 orders per month. So it worked out to about $750,000 per year in savings on an investment of $52,000. They were able to save that money because they were able to redeploy staff to other initiatives and reduce their processing costs for conducting orders. And so integration has measurable benefits for how you run your business, because there are significant cost savings by having an integrated solution that leads to a better customer experience. So quickly about our onboarding process. It's a 5-step process: kickoff, configuration, implementation, testing, go live. Typical Sage 300 cloud implementation is about 3 months. What we want to make sure is that when we go live, that you are fully trained and know how to use Sage eCommerce. So the implementation phase is really the bulk of this. Configuration is just connecting Sage eCommerce with your Sage system. Implementation is really the training and getting you up to speed on how to use Sage eCommerce. We don't go live until you've signed off. That's the user acceptance testing. And then the go live, we help you with the go live. If you have an existing e-commerce platform or an existing website, there'll be things like 301 redirects that we need to help you set up. Most of our clients, 90% of our clients, Sage eCommerce is their entire web presence. And we talked about presentation layer, how important it is. Integration is more important and more challenging, but the presentation layer is really critical. And so you want to ensure you have a flexible design. So I'm just going to give some examples of some flexible designs in terms of the look and feel of some of our Sage eCommerce clients to give you an idea of the flexibility of the platform to represent your brand in the digital world. So LJ Smith they do interior design specifically around staircases, and so obviously they need to have a visually compelling site. NC Star, another one that needed a visually compelling site to sell their products and services. Bob Dale Gloves, another example of a site that is visually compelling, all based on the same Sage eCommerce platform, so it gives you a sense of the flexibility of the platform. Batteries Expert, I show this because this is a multi-language site, so Batteries Expert is based in Quebec. The site is in both French and English, which is all managed from the same implementation of Sage eCommerce on the back end. And in fact, our own Sage eCommerce platform is leveraging the Sage eCommerce. Sage eCommerce website is leveraging the Sage eCommerce platform technology. So in summation, Sage eCommerce really provides you integrated intelligent e-commerce. It's fully certified by Sage, has those built-in responsive web design templates that allows you to scale to the mobile world, helping with search engine rankings and be able to conduct business via smart devices. It's out-of-the-box real-time two-way integration. There's no additional cost for integration that comes standard with Sage eCommerce, which means you can replicate the business logic that you have in Sage onto your platform. That integration also allows for real-time orders and payments with the Sage system. It's cost-effective to maintain because we're able to redeploy staff to work on other initiatives and provide a better level of experience. As you move to other Sage versions, it scales without additional customization, and it streamlines your business processes. Want to learn more about Sage eCommerce? Follow us on Twitter, connect with us on Facebook or LinkedIn. Also, check out our Digital Insights blog, x7developments.com/blog. Lots of great information on that about e-commerce trends, analysis, and Sage eCommerce features and benefits. So I certainly invite you to check out the blog to get more information about both the team at XM and also e-commerce trends and Sage eCommerce itself. There's my contact information. Feel free to give me a shout. I'm happy to answer any questions offline. I think we've got a couple of minutes for questions now, but feel free to send me an email after this session, and I'll be glad to follow up with you. So, Jeff, I'll hand it back to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Stephen. And yeah, we are right at the top of the hour. We did get a few questions. We'll answer these real quick, but just so everyone knows, that is the end of the presentation, so we'll move into some questions now. I think Stephen has a couple minutes. We'll try and answer these few here. One was just a more general question. Can you just define WYSIWYG, Stephen?
Oh, yeah, sorry. WYSIWYG is an acronym for what you see is what you get. So basically what that means is it's an easy-to-use solution. It's very intuitive. You don't need to be, in this case, you don't need to know how to write HTML code to update and change content on pages.
Great. Let's see. I have a lot of inventory items. If my company were to get e-commerce, would it be easy to switch, or can you talk a little bit about that process that they'd have to undertake?
Yeah, so the part of the implementation phase, if you have a lot of items, we can do batch updates. So migrate batch updates from your existing solution to Sage eCommerce. What I would say though is we want to make sure those images are what we'll call web ready, so that they're high resolution images. Often the images that you'd have in your Sage platform would not be, for those using enterprise management, would not be really web ready, so it would be low resolution. For every inventory, for every product, you're allowed up to 12 images for every product. So we can do batch updates. We just want to make sure that those images will be web ready, and migrating inventory over is part of the implementation process that we would do with you as part of the onboarding process.
Great. And the last one I'll ask is, can you integrate e-commerce with ticketing systems like Paradox or Seriousware, which are sort of ski resort management systems?
Yes, if there is, I'm sure they're likely the SaaS solutions, but if there's an API, then we could look at that. That would be customization work, but we could open up APIs to do that integration work.
And then the last question, can you just, what kind of support is offered? Can you talk a little bit about the support, how that works?
Yeah, so we have two levels of support. We have basic support. We have an online help desk, which is self-sufficient for a lot of our customers to go in and understand how the product. We offer support basically business hours in North America, New Zealand, and in the UK. So it's not 24/7 support yet, but it is fairly close because we offer support in 3 different time zones that are quite spread out. The second is we're about to launch a digital success plan that offers account management support. That for clients who sign up for digital success plan, basically it provides them dedicated account management support for business hours in their region. Provides them with digital marketing support. So we go back to that build, manage, optimize discussion, providing those solutions to help better manage and in particular optimize the e-commerce platform to drive revenue.
Great. Let's see. Looks like, Stephen, can you just give a high-level 30,000-foot view around what solutions you integrate with right now? And the question is there a standard integration to each product, or is it there custom development work that has to be done?
So Sage products or third-party products?
Yeah. So it's probably a partner. Which Sage products? So I know Enterprise Management 300, but I just want to give a little background. That's all.
Sure. So today we integrate out of the box with Sage Enterprise Management and Sage 300 Cloud. We have on our roadmap integration development for Sage 100. That will be available later at the end of this calendar year. So today we integrate with Sage Enterprise Management, Sage 300 Cloud, and we also integrate with things like Avalara for Enterprise Management. We integrate with Sage Payment Systems. So there's a number of third-party solutions that we integrate with as well to improve things like taxation and shipping capabilities.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. And that's all the questions we got. I know we went a little bit over today, but a lot of great information. Again, thanks, Stephen. Any closing words?
I guess my takeaway here for people on the call is really it's integration. I think that is the most critical aspect. You're investing in Sage as the backbone of your business. So whatever solutions you look at, whether they're e-commerce or other platforms like HR management, the first question needs to be around integration. And I think if you can get the integration piece sorted, everything else will follow from that. But thanks for your time.
Great. And with that, we wish you a great rest of your day. Thanks so much, Stephen, and thanks again for attending. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jeff.